So I would like to just give you more details about variance theory now, as this is the focus of this paper, this session. So first of all, we know that constructs must be measurable. You need to be able to assign high or low, 0 or 1, yes or no, or some kind of numeric value to those constructs. For example, IT management is not a construct. IT management quality, IT management effectiveness is a construct because you can assign a high or low value to them. And the positivist variance theory has relationships that are either causal or correlational. Improving X1 means Y will be improved. Improving X2 means Y will be, the value of Y will be decreased. And you can have various types of variance theory. You can just have two constructs with one relationship, 3 constructs with 2 relationships, 4 constructs, 3 relationships. I have 9 constructs and 9 relationships. So there are various, different numbers of constructs and relationship in a variant theory. It's based on, the logical reasoning that you provide for those relationships. What is important is that if you want to create a variant theory, or you want to validate it, you need to provide 3 outcomes, academic outcomes, 3 products in your thesis, and it can be in different chapters of your thesis. First, it would be always great to have a nomological model, just what you saw here. A positively influence B, C moderates the relationship between A and B, D negatively influence B, and we have some control variables. And each of these constructs that you see here, you need to have a list of constructs either in the body of the thesis or at the, in the appendix that explains what these things belong to. I'm going to explain that, provide a definition, how you measured this construct, and provide some support from the literature or interviews. You also need to have a second table called list of relationships, that for each relationship that you see here, you need to provide it there. You need to explain what kind of influence you need to, you have, in between A and B. A positively influenced B here, and it's a causal relationship. And you need to provide reasons using literature or interview to support that A increases B. You need to provide a kind of construct in between the two, such as F, that you would say that in improving A will improve F, and improving F will improve B. But you don't see F here. F is not measured by your, by you. You just want to mention it as, a reason. And then you also try to provide some support from the interview or literature, as well as data analysis. You want to be able to support or reject this hypothesis using data analysis. So this is, in a nutshell, in this slide, you see everything that you need to create in your thesis if you want to provide a variance theory. Note that if you don't provide a measurement for these constructs, if you don't provide, a kind of correlational influence between the two, then you cannot call this a positivist theory, because it's just, it's not falsifiable. So keep that in mind. Measurement and influence is important. If you don't provide these measurements, these influence, then you can call your theory an interpretive theory. And this is a different story. You need to do so many different things for that. Another important thing is that if you don't provide these F in your thesis, in the paper, then you don't have a theory. It's just a model. So take this seriously. This F is very important as for reason. I see that many students, they just say that, okay, that paper said that A will positively influence B. We don't care that, it's not a theory. You need to go to that paper, read it, and then figure out what F is suggested in that paper, and then quote it in your thesis. So keep that in mind. These different Fs that you need to provide for different relationships is quite important. Okay, what is a construct in a variance theory? All constructs are often related to one unit of analysis. So you will hear this unit of analysis a lot. And that unit of analysis can be, different things from construct to another construct. For example, if you have a construct called IT unavailability, you can assign a high or low value, how much the systems are not unavailable. They are unavailable for 3 days per year, or 1 day per year, or 1 hour per year, or 2 weeks per year. So you have a construct, you can assign high or low value, but you also need to specify what this construct belongs to. So, and constructs are properties of a thing or a class of thing in this world. In this case, IT unavailability can be a construct of a property of an IT resource, or it can be a property of an organization. So you always need to identify what this construct belong to. This is a property of what thing in this world? So examples are organizations like Heineken, Shell, ING, divisions of those organizations, projects, groups, and individuals. And with that, you are telling me as the reader that my theory is a theory about organization. My theory is a theory about individuals. My theory is a theory about groups. If that's the case, and this must be the case for most of you, is that you need to have the same class, the same unit of analysis for all these constructs. In reality, these can be different. You can have an individual level use of a technology and organizational level use of a technology. We call them multi-level theory, but measuring those kind of theories is too difficult for you. You only have 4 months. So when you create constructs, keep in mind that you want all the constructs to be about the same unit of analysis, the same class. And as a reader, I need to see this organization in the definition. That's another important thing. I need to see that organization, that individual or project in the definition that you provide in your thesis. And these measurements must be about organization's IT resource or an IT resources measurement for an IT resource based on what class you identify for that theory. So when you try to label a construct, when you want to choose a name for a construct, again, keep in mind that you need to be able to assign a high or low value to that. IT infrastructure is not a construct name. Things are not constructs. Building IT infrastructure is not a construct, it's an action. IT infrastructure investment, this is an attribute, a measurable attribute of IT infrastructure, a measurable attribute of thing in this world, or a class of thing in this world. Investment value is an attribute, a measurable attribute of IT infrastructure again. So these can be called construct. This is another common issue with our students. They provide things or actions as the name of the constructs. In constructs, definition is quite important. I would suggest you to start the definition with the degree to which or the extent to which. For example, IT infrastructure scalability is the degree to which the IT infrastructure of an organization can be changed easily to support more users. maintenance cost, again, the degree to which. So try to start your definition with degree to which, to the extent to which, so that you are sure that a value of high or low can be assigned to that construct. So now, let me give you an example. Assume that we have a theory called IT unavailability, a theory about IT unavailability, and we believe that increasing IT unavailability will increase business disruption, and increasing business disruption will increase a strategic risk in the organization. So these are constructs. A construct is either an attribute or a property of a thing in this world. We see here, this business disruption, it is a business disruption that occurs to an organization. And there are two ways to measure that: duration and geographical span of business disruption. How many locations are affected as a result of this IT unavailability. For unavailability, you see, this is IT resource, but I need to call this organization's IT resource so that I have the same unit of analysis. Then you have unavailability here. And you would say that, okay, how can I measure IT unavailability? I need two attributes, two measures for that, or one measure at least. Frequency of unavailability, how many times the IT resources were unavailable in this organization in the last year. What was the duration of those IT unavailability? 3 days, 1 hour. So whenever you try to create a construct, you need to be able to find an attribute for that construct. You need to be able to find a class of things for that construct so that you can say that, oh, I have a construct. So here, let me show you this case. This is what I would like to see you in your thesis. This is the construct. It belongs to organization's IT resource. This is the definition. That's how I can measure this, or how I measured them. I have some support for this construct or the measurement using the literature. And you can sometimes also specify the boundary. You can say that for some, my theory does not work for a downtime that is longer than a year, and IT unavailability that is longer than a year. So keep this in mind. And you also need to provide a second table of relationships. Increasing IT unavailability will positively influence business disruption. You provide some examples here, but don't forget that you need to also provide that F, which is not provided in this case. But you need to provide these two tables. And if there is a boundary, you need to provide it. For example, you would say that a 5-minute downtime that resulted in bankruptcy cannot be explained by my theory. So if you can do it. But most of our students, they are not, at that level that can come up with these different boundaries. But try. That's how you get, a higher grade in a thesis. So now let's have an exercise here. This figure shows a great interpretive theory. What is wrong with this research from a positivist view? Any ideas? So let's check some of these constructs that we see here. We have client satisfaction. I can assign a high or low value to that. We have reputation. I can assign a high or low value to that. Numbers, variety, I can do that. But we have here IT personnel career development. This is a process. It's not a construct. I cannot assign a high or low value to this. Or here it says client-vendor relationship. What does that mean? Does that mean client-vendor relationship strength? So in naming these constructs, you need to always keep in mind that we want something that we can assign high or low value to that. Another issue with this theory from a positive point of view is this definition. What does define mean here? We don't care about defined, help, build, enabled, things like that. We want positively influence, negatively influence, so that we can measure them against a quantitative data or even a qualitative data. So these are the issues that that can be stated about this theory from a positivist stance. So measurable constructs and relationships that are not causal or correlation. So what is wrong with this theory? This is created by a student. It was a draft model. Any ideas? Same issues. 5G technology, what does that mean? Does that mean 5G technology exists or do not exist? If that's the case, then you can call this a construct. Otherwise, you cannot call it. But in this case, reading the rest of the items that wants to be used to perhaps measure this construct or state it as dimension of these constructs. Here it shows that it's called, for example, here you see faster speeds, lower cost. See, this is not a construct. Speed is a construct. Cost is a construct. Latency, reliability, these are constructs. So this student needs to remove these and then say that increasing the speed will increase, for example, security level or safety level. And here again, we have a structure, standards, processes. We don't know how this can be measured. So try to have constructs that are measurable. So how to change this? You can say that we have technology speed, technology cost, and this will be improved performance. And 5G is just is implemented in some cases as a prescription for example, to increase speed, decrease cost, and latency. Okay. You have two constructs. This is the relationship. Increasing IT investment will positively influence firm performance, firm's financial performance. What kind of what Fs can you suggest in between the two so that improving IT investment will improve F and improving F will improve firm's financial performance? Remember, I told you that if you don't provide this F, you have a model, you don't have a theory. Any ideas in the chat section? One idea can be improving IT investment will improve employees' productivity, and improving employees' productivity will improve process productivity, business process performance measures, and improving that will improve firms' financial performance. IT investment, another example, IT investment improves information systems, but you see information systems, what? Effectiveness, information system, what? So when you try to provide this F, you need to also keep in mind that, what kind of constructs, in a way, measurable construct you can provide here. But, you are on the right track. That was a good answer. So don't forget this. You need to provide these F, otherwise you don't have a theory. Let me see if there are any questions. Okay, there are no questions here. Let's go to the next section. Okay, we also have process theory and taxonomy theory. Our students, I know that some of them are also interested in developing these concepts.